Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indieheads podcast. I'm your host, Matty, aka Recon AG. On this week's podcast, we have.
Hi, I'm Zach. I'm new to the podcast. I go by Waffle113 on Reddit, so if I suck, you know where to direct your hate mail to now.
Will, these are Will for thrill.
I'm Sebastian. I'm new here too. I'm celib on Reddit, and I'm kind of sick, so excuse me if I sound weird.
And we're also going to have Renee, aka Starlifers, and Alex, aka Tatio's NG, later on the podcast. Yeah. Also, Will is going to be leaving us when we do our Chvrches discussion because he has not listened to the album, but we kind of need some originals to be on since we have some new members on tonight. So thank you for coming on, guys, and let's just get started with what we've been listening to. So I'll start off. Listened to a couple albums this week. I think there's one I'm not going to mention because it's going to tie into our main topic, which was Chvrches' debut album, and I'll talk about that whenever we do our Chvrches discussion. But I'm going to start off with Dean Blunt, Black Metal. I think I talked about either last week or the week. I think I talked about this album last week. I'm not sure. I feel like I did, or at least the Redeemer. But I've been getting to Dean Blunt recently, just kind of out of just on a whim, and I'm really enjoying it. His music is basically it's perfect isolation music to me. It's very much music that feels the emotions are that of just emptiness, where you're going through depression and you don't feel anything. It's just you're just going by your day, and it's just like you don't give a shit. It's like I do not care. And then in this album and the Redeemer really perfectly kind of combine those feelings of emptiness and just not really caring. And Black Metal, production wise, is a lot less minimalistic than the Redeemer. Like the Redeemer was very kind of heavy on strings, and this album is not so much heavy on strings. In fact, it kind of lacks them for the most part. But the production's a bit more layered this time around, and Dean Blunt, his vocals are a bit more, maybe not, it's not as sad as the Redeemer, because the Redeemer is very sad and empty because it's a breakup album, while Black Metal is more of just kind of a getting over it, I guess. I don't know, but the production is great on this thing. Dean Blunt is such an interesting vocalist and general artist to me, where he's very, very mysterious. He rarely does interviews, and when he does interviews, they're just they're not normal interviews. I think he did one with Fact Mag, and basically he just turned the tables on the interviewer, where it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna give you straight up answers. We're gonna talk about shit that doesn't matter at all because I do not give a fuck about talking about my music. Just whatever. I make it, I sell it, whatever. And of course, he makes great music, and it's music that, once you kind of read into Dean Blunt a bit more and kind of find out more about him, some of the stuff kind of makes more sense. Like, he was in a group called Hype Williams before, doing solo work, which he was in this group with a chick called Inga Copeland, and they were maybe in a relationship, and the Redeemer is about their breakup, apparently. And now, as Hype Williams, they stopped doing Hype Williams. They were just Dean Blunt and Inga Copeland, and they stopped working together as I think Inga Copeland was on a song on the Redeemer, but not on this new album on Black Metal. And yeah, this album is very interesting. I do recommend it. It's kind of like a mixture of hip hop influences to singer songwriter to electronic music. It's very much a mishmash of a lot of genres, and I think it kind of comes out as this sort of singular, unique thing. So yeah, Dean Blunt, Black Metal, check it out. Also listen to US Girls Half Free, which Jeremiah recommended pretty much the entire podcast to listen to this last week. Got around to it a few days ago. It's really fucking weird, but I'm really, really enjoying it. Who here has listened to US Girls or listened to this album?
I have
I
not, and I
listened to it
probably
once.
should.
I listened to it once. No, I don't. I don't really like.
Oh, by the
I
way,
didn't
you're kind of
ingest it
lagging.
yet. Oh, I am.
Yeah, your voice
Sorry.
quality's horrible.
All right, is it better now?
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, US
Okay.
Girls Half Free. This album is fucking weird. I would say overall it's an indie rock album, but it takes so many weird twists and turns where sometimes it's sort of more, at times it takes some electronic influences, other time, I think there's a song here called Navy and Cream. It sounds like vaporwave. It seriously sounds like, okay, if this was on a Macintosh Plus album, it would fit completely in because it's just so fucking weird. And I haven't listened to it enough to really digest it, but from one of my listens I was like, okay, I enjoy this, but this is an all over the place album. Like, it's just genre hopping like crazy, and I think I love it because of that. It's fucking weird. But it's not like, like really, really weird, but like for what I thought was going to be kind of like a standard indie rock album, it's like, oh, this is not what I expected at all. Okay.
Well, based on what I've read about her, which is not much, but like apparently like she used to be really experimental. Like it was just like noise music basically. Mm-hmm. And apparently this is like her most accessible album yet.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. If this is her most accessible, I can't wait to listen to her more experimental stuff because this is fucking weird. So yeah, US Girls Have Free. Gotta give this album a shouts out because of Jeremiah. He's on the podcast this week, so you know. So Zach, what'd you listen to?
Alright, first album I listened to this week, based on recent news of Julian Casablancas of The Strokes announcing that The Strokes are back in the studio, possibly working on a 6th album. So I decided to listen to their most recent album, Come Down Machine. And I wouldn't call it bad, but I can definitely see why it got the mixed reception it got when it was released 2 years ago, because, oh my god, some of the tracks are so great, but some of them are so terrible. And most of it has to do with Julian's falsetto. Like, on some tracks I can tolerate it, but 9 times out of 10, it completely wrecks the track, and it could have been so good if he had just stuck to his normal register most of the time. Standout tracks, the ones I really liked, Welcome to Japan, and shout out to Jeremiah, Call It Fate, Call It Karma. Both of those I love for no apparent reason. It's underrated, but I wouldn't give it much more of my time if I had the chance to, so
overall, it's just a giant mess. It's a hot mess.
It's not really a mess, but it could be a lot better, is what I'm saying. I hope LP6 is something better than what Come Down Machine was. And as for my second album, I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time on it because everybody knows how good it is. Mm-hmm. Frank Ocean, Channel Orange. Oh my god, what a record!
That's so good. It's so good. I don't want because we've talked about this album enough on the podcast. I think we had like a nearly 20-minute discussion about this on the podcast, and we were like, "Oh my god, we talked about this album for 20 minutes. We gotta stop doing that."
So I'll try to keep my thoughts short. Basically, my biggest takeaway is, like, I hold John Darnielle in high esteem as far as songwriting goes. Frank Ocean is right up there. His stuff is just amazing. If you have not listened to this record, what are you doing with your life? Listen to it already, and then join me over in the corner and weep while we wait for LP2 to come out. And yeah, that's what I've been listening to this week.
Where's the album, Frank? Where is it?
Where is it?
Like, the thing is, I at first I was on the train of, like, oh, you know, I survived Ginny Death. I can survive anything. But, like, at least they gave us an album beforehand. But this is, like, we haven't gotten any, like, new Frank material. Like, I think there's that one song he did with, like, Diplo and some other fucking band I don't remember. But I don't listen to it, like, one time, and I don't remember it at all. But, like, I'm just, like, I want a new Frank album. Like, I'm fiending for it. Because, like, Channel Orange is so good. And it's, like, you can't pull a fucking D'Angelo or a Lauryn Hill on us, Frank, okay? We don't deserve that. We don't deserve that, okay? D'Angelo released his album this year, and he seems like he's going to be coming out with more material soon. But you can't do this. Okay, I know, you know, you get compared to D'Angelo and shit like that. But, like, but don't take those comparisons too far, Frank, because you're taking them too far. And I don't like that at all, okay, Frank? I don't like that. Please, boys don't cry. I do cry. So give us the album, please.
I must admit I haven't listened to it yet. I've listened to, like, Frank Ocean's big singles, but not the album.
Okay, Sebastian, I'm temporarily firing you for the podcast for 90 minutes so you can go listen to this album.
Oh, come on, man.
Just kidding, you're rehired. But seriously, listen to this album. It's great.
You don't want to hear my opinions on the album.
It's a seminal 2010s release. If if we talk about, like, the best albums of the 2010s, like, if we talk about albums that, like, you think about, like, which albums are going to go down as classics, you know, that came out in the past, like, 5 years or so. Like, Channel Orange is going to be one of those albums because, like, I've rarely seen hate for the album.
Speaking personally, Channel Orange is either 1-2 or 2-1 with Modern Vampires of the City as far as albums of the 2010 goes.
Well, I haven't listened to Modern City Vampires that much, so I can't really.
I mean, they don't. I mean, I first looked for Modern Vampires of the City, but I don't usually see it being held in that. Those aren't the two. What about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Good Kid, Mad City, Pimp a Butterfly?
I think certain hip hop fans say "Take Care" is one of the best of the decade, which I disagree with. As someone who stands Drake right now, I disagree with that because I don't think "Take Care" is as good as people think it is.
Same.
Because I see people like, "Take Care." It's like I kind of prefer "Nothing Was the Same." It kind of cuts down. Like "Take Care" has some problems with being a Young Money album or a Cash Money album because it's way too fucking long. It's like 18 tracks, which is what the fuck. In 2011, bullshit. I don't care how good those 18 tracks are. Again, 18 track albums just like in 2015 is like, unless you're like pulling out some conceptual shit like Kendrick, I don't want to see an 18 track album that has no real concept besides just putting these tracks together that kind of.
I agree. I just don't have an attention span long enough to listen to.
I can handle long albums if it's like, okay, if this album is long, it has to have a reason for it. And Take Care has no reason to be as long as it is. Well, an album like that didn't sound good. Well, an album like To Pimp a Butterfly or To Be Kind have like a reason to be as long as they are. See, did someone log out? I don't know.
Alex just came on.
Hey.
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
What?
Your mic is it's loud.
My ears.
Oh, sorry.
Back a little bit, buddy.
We're cutting this part out, right?
No. Okay, Alex is back. Hey guys, welcome back, Alex.
We're giving it to you raw.
Giving it to you raw. Okay, but yeah, Channel Wars is great. Do you want anything else to say about it, Zach, that we haven't already discussed? Because we're going on it for too long again.
No, not really. Who's next?
Okay, Will, what'd you listen to?
All right, so the first one, I haven't actually technically been listening to this a lot, but it's relevant to me because I'm seeing them later tonight after I finish this podcast. Brand New's The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. Brand New's one of my favorite bands. I haven't talked about them on the podcast, but like in high school, they were bar none my favorite band. I listened to them most days. And I go back and forth between Bejar and The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me for my favorite because, I mean, both of them have... Well, really, no cons, just all pros, but different pros. But anyways, this is definitely one of the darker albums of all time. Not all time, but at least in my opinion. Does anyone else here listen to the band or have listened to this album?
I have not.
I can't say I have.
Nobody? Rip. All right.
There's an FYC for you guys can read that Will did.
It's pretty good.
Hey. Anyways, but yeah, this is definitely a very dark album because if you follow the tension of the trajectory of their career... That wasn't a word, whatever. Anyways, like their first album in 2001 was kind of like a pop punk breakup album. And then in 2003, they had Deja Tendu, which was still a very much emo, but it was much more mature and much more refined sound. And then this one, they just came out, it's more post-hardcore than anything. It's just, like I said, one of the darker albums I've heard maybe ever. And yeah, mainly the main theme of the album is that Jesse, like, he believes in God, like, he believes in everything, that he died for our sins, but he still feels like he doesn't deserve it, and that he shouldn't, like, go to heaven in the afterlife. Because of what... But the thing is that he's kind of a private person, like, he doesn't really give me interviews or talk about his personal life. So, like, all we really know is that, like, he drank a lot when he was younger, and maybe that he slept around a bit, but otherwise, we don't know what these sins are that he feels are so great. But it's very heavy. And like one of the highlights, the emotional centerpiece, Limousine, is about it's about like this girl and her mom. The girl was like a flower girl at a wedding, and then in the middle of the night they came back. They went back to their hotel in the limousine, and they get hit by a drunk driver who was driving a 18-wheeler. He was like drunk and he's driving like a mile on the wrong side of the road. And then, anyways, the girl dies in the mother's arms, and he writes like an entire epic ballad about it. And yeah, it's very dark. I heard this one track when he's switching perspectives a lot, and then the God character says, "I died for you one time, but never again." It's really chilling stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, like I could go on for days about this album, but it's just a lot of highlights, like Sowing Season and Jesus Christ. I bet at least one of you's probably heard Jesus Christ. That's a classic. And then Handcuffs at the very end. It's very chilling, acoustic outro, following their trend, how they always end with an acoustic track. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite albums of the 2000s. And yeah, I'm seeing them for the second time tonight, and I'm excited because the first time was at kind of like a quasi festival ish thing, so they only played for an hour. So hopefully they'll play longer tonight, and I'm excited. And keeping with the emo theme, the other album I listened to this week was Harmlessness by The World is a Beautiful Place, and I'm No Longer Afraid to Die. And yeah, this was my first time ever listening to them. I know AJ was on here earlier last week talking about the album, and he's a fan before. But yeah, this is my first exposure to them. And I was really impressed because I'm a fan of the emo genre, but a lot of it just isn't good. Like, I'm a fan of good emo. Like, I like the genre, like, theoretically, but then, like, just some of it's just so generic. But then, yeah, this is definitely good. Like, just from the beginning, You Can't Live There Forever. It's like an acoustic ballad that kind of reminds me of. I'm trying to think what. It reminds me of good music. Anyways, and then AJ talked about January 10th, 2014 last week, and like just keep going ahead with the real world dark themes about the woman who murdered the bus drivers who raped women in Mexico. And yeah, so I don't have a whole lot to say about this album because it's a very ambitious record that like I can't verbalize very much yet, but definitely check it out if you're interested in emo at all, because this is definitely I've accepted them as the lords and saviors of the genre. So
Sure.
God bless.
Yeah.
What?
Anyways, what'd you listen to, Sebastian?
So I've been listening to a lot of electronic music this week, and one album I've been listening to a lot is Porter Robinson's Worlds, because the remix album of that just came out like 2 days ago. So I've been re-listening to Worlds, and so Porter Robinson is from North Carolina, and he's been producing music since like 13, and then he was discovered by Skrillex when he turned 18, and he released this Electro House Festival banger EP, which was good but kind of generic. But then it like got interesting, and he released this song called Sea of Voices as a teaser for Worlds, and the internet went crazy over it. Because instead of like the usual festival banger thing, it was an M83 like ethereal build-up of synths, and then there was this, I hate the word, but epic drop, but that was not aggressive, but still like beautiful. So the internet was just going crazy, saying this thing is gonna change electronic music forever. And then he dropped Worlds, and the internet went even more crazy over it. Because instead of like the whole EDM thing he did before, it was more a synth pop album. He pulled a lot of influences from like video games and anime, and a lot of the vocals on the album are like these Japanese Vocaloids or whatever. And pretty much like the electronic music subreddit was just calling it the best album of 2014. And I think it was good. There are a couple of interesting tracks on it. Like, my favorite is the opener track called Divinity, which is also kind of mellow, synthy, and it has like 3 drops. In the first drop, there's this chopped up vocal thing from this female indie rock singer he got on the album. And then there's like the second drop where it's the person singing.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, man. Oh god. I'm sorry, please. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Okay.
You don't have to go like a track by track review or whatever you're doing.
I'm not doing that. I'm just talking about the one track.
Okay.
And then he like brings everything together for like the third drop, and it's pretty good. And he has like an amazing live show with it because he has like anime visuals that tell a story and stuff. And now he's been touring with Skrillex and Major Lazer and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the album, but I wouldn't put it on a pedestal like most of the people on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's probably the main thing I've been listening to. And since I've talked about this a lot now, I'm gonna skip my second album, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry for saying that. I'm sorry. It was just like, no offense, but it was just like, okay, what? Like, I think it was just only just like, okay, I don't haven't listened to this guy, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I really should be to myself. Okay, Alex, what'd you listen to?
Hey! So the record I wanna... Wait, is my mic down to, like, acceptable volume
Oh,
now?
yeah, you're good now.
It's good.
Okay, alright, I adjusted it. So the record I mainly wanted to talk about was, Poison Season, which I should have done last week, but I wasn't feeling too great, so I sat out that one. I also wanted to talk about Put Your Back Into It by Perfume Genius, but I don't have much to say about that one, so I'll just say, like, I just love how, I don't know. I listened to that record today for the first time in a little while, and I don't know, it just made me feel so content, and I love how, like, adaptable it can be to any situation. Just because, like, I don't know, I love Too Bright, but Too Bright is so consistently dark and sad, and it's like, it's, you know, you can really only listen to it in, like, one way, I feel like, but a lot of the instrumentals on Put Your Back Into It are really, they're really, like, I don't know, so some of them are actually pretty upbeat sounding, and it made me, like, I don't know, be able to listen to it today and feel content and, like, not bring my mood down, and I loved that about the record. So that was cool. But yeah, so the things I wanted to say about Poison Season were just, I don't know, I think it's really interesting how, well, I never felt comfortable putting the record into any sort of genre, you know? Like, he takes major elements of various genres and juxtaposes them with others, and it just sort of works really well. Like, some of the songs have, like, I noticed a lot of the drum patterns, too. Like, some of the songs have, like, rock-style drums, but, like, they're behind an orchestra, and other times he uses, like, world drums on this record, and you know, he's got, like, jazz, and I don't know, it's just a really good mix, and I think it all works together so well, and I don't know, like, the only consistent elements in that record were, like, I don't know, the general palette, I guess, and kind of the lonely feeling that you get from, like, singer-songwriter records. I know it's not really a singer-songwriter record, but, like, I don't know, you get that vibe from Dan because he's got, like, really, like, I don't know.
It feels like a musical, pretty much, is what we were, like, talking about on the podcast this week. It's like, this feels like a goddamn musical where it's just, like, it's a musical made by, like, an experienced, like, musician, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's
so
he's
great,
been making music
like,
for decades now. It's like, this is kind of the culmination of all this experience.
Yeah, I'm not like a fan of musicals for the most part, but, like, I love this record, and I did notice that there were times when it was like a musical. Something I also noticed were some of the songs feel a little bit like Illinois songs to me, especially Hell. Like when the full instrumentation comes on, it feels really Illinois.
That's one of the things I didn't like because, like, it was too musically. Like, okay, this feels too much like a musical. Like, I'm fine with some musical elements, but, like, when you get too into, like, okay, this feels like a really cheesy musical, and it's like, back off, please, Dan.
Yeah.
Show some restraint.
I didn't feel that way at all, actually. Like, I didn't feel like it ever felt too overbearing. Maybe on Solace's Bride. Solace's Bride might be my least favorite track. I'm not too big of a fan of that one.
I think after seeing so many kind of mediocre musicals from my high school, it was just kind of, it's jaded me to musicals in general.
Yeah.
Like there's been some really good, like, some of my musicals at my school have been really good, and sometimes it's just like, okay, this is fucking mediocre as hell. Like, I think the one from my either junior or sophomore year, it was Godspeed, and it was just like, what the fuck is going on? There's no plot. It's just like, I don't care about any of these characters. The singers are not even that good. Like, what? I think there was one. It was like Once Upon a Mattress and story time. I think I told this on the podcast before, but I'm just gonna tell it anyways. The girl who was the lead is like, if you know her in real life, she is one of the bitchiest girls I have ever met. And they're trying to pass her off as like a likable character, and it's like, I can't separate this at all. I know this girl's a huge bitch, and they're trying to make her off as not a bitch and like the sweet innocent girl, and I know that's not the case. So like, come on.
I love how we've transitioned from talking about Poison Season to you talking about high school gossip. I feel like that's an accurate summary of the entire podcast. The most and the last thing I wanted to say about Poison Season was that at first I wasn't sold on the 3 different versions of Times Square, but I really feel like, I don't know, the various iterations of Times Square helped like guide and reflect the rise and fall of the album, you know, and it kind of sets the tone for the next bit in a lot of ways, I think, because like, except for the first one. And, like, I don't know. I guess really only the centerpiece, like, the Times Square, you know, like, the big one.
Times Square.
Yeah. Is the only one that kind of,
Times
like...
Square, comma, Poison Season 1, or Times Square, comma, Poison Season 2.
Is the only one that, like, guides the next couple of songs. But, I don't know. I feel that they feel narratively relevant, you know? Like... Yeah. They feel important to the record and the story of the record as you go through. And also, like, I think they're each strong enough to merit their presence as well. Mm-hmm. Like, even past a narrative device, like, each of the instrumental changes is just so good. I mean, the first one might be my least favorite, but they're all really good. The second 2 just blow me away, you know, like... Especially, I think Times Square Poison Season 2 is my favorite song on the record, other than Bangkok. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say about Poison Season. Yeah. Did anyone else have to go? Oh, Renee, are you there?
It's Renee, for the love of God.
Wait, is it Renee? Okay, wait, pronounce it one more time so I can remember.
Let me just do the introduction. Okay, so I'm Renee, aka Chvrches, aka... Yeah. What?
Okay.
I did the intro for you, I think.
I haven't been on a podcast with you.
Hey.
By the way, half this podcast is noobs, pretty much, so this is a very weird experience for me.
I like to forget my first podcast experience, honestly. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, because I actually have notes this week, so that I don't, like, fuck up. Okay, so, this week, or maybe, more like the past, like, 2 weeks, I listened to Fetty Wap by Fetty Wap. Mr. Wap is a rapper from Patterson, New Jersey. Yeah.
God, that's like such a fucking Reddit AMA comment on IMA. If Fetty Wap does an AMA, how many fucking people are gonna go, hello, Mr. Wap? It's like, oh my god.
Mr. Wap, what is your biggest inspiration while writing your lyrics?
Can't we just refer to him as our one-eyed messiah? And
yes, please talk about our one-eyed messiah more.
Okay, so, everybody knows that I love Trap Queen. That's, like, my favorite song ever. He released like a third of the album as a single, but every single was like a banger. Every single I enjoyed. So, I was pretty optimistic about a full album. And, I mean, if you liked the singles, the album is pretty solid. But the thing with it is, like, I mean, if you really look at the singles, it's like, they're all kind of like the same thing, just like 8 different times. So you take that and you stretch it out over like 20 tracks for like an hour and a half. And by like track 14, I was suffering from banger overdose syndrome. BOS is a very serious condition. Yeah, it was just like, if you're going to sit down and like listen to it, I actually don't recommend you do that. I mean, granted, I don't listen to trap albums often, but yeah, if you're going to hang out with friends or go to a party, play this album in the background, but I don't do that often, so I might not listen to this album again. Who knows? But I still love Trap Queen, and the track after Trap Queen is the intro, so it's good.
I think Sigur Rós needs more bangers. Just saying.
I love how you pronounced it wrong too. Nice.
Yeah, me too.
I know you said this is a banger overdose, but the thing is, I just don't think you can hold your bangers. I can hold my bangers, okay? I can hold them real good. All right? I can listen to Shroom Life in full, and I can fully enjoy it and go, okay, I'm good. But I think Fetty Wap album it's a lot longer. It's like how many? Like, is it like 16 tracks? 18?
It's 20. It's 20.
Jesus
20 full tracks.
Oh,
No interludes or anything either.
It's like 90 minutes. Also, was what I've heard.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I wanted to listen to it, but like the fact that it's like 20 tracks and like 90 minutes, it's like, okay, I love Fetty Wap, but like not 90 minutes of Fetty Wap.
Yeah, basically that's. But yeah.
If he keeps putting out great singles, I'm fine with that. Just keep putting out great singles. Don't become irrelevant, because I don't want him becoming irrelevant because I love him. Okay, he's too endearing for him to go away.
Me too.
So the too long didn't read. I can hold my bangers, but this girl can't handle her weed.
Oh.
Okay. Anyways, do you have what other album did you listen to?
Okay, so I was going to tell a joke, but I decided I'm not going to tell the joke.
Now you have to tell the joke.
Tell the joke. Just get it over with.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, so there's a track on this album, the Fetty Wap album, that I really don't agree with. The title is "I'm Straight."
Ha!
Surprise. No, but yeah, I'm sorry.
Next album,
All right.
Next album.
Yeah,
Please. Jesus Christ.
I need to stop.
I shouldn't even ask you to tell the joke. It wasn't even worth my time.
I'm sorry. Anyways, so the second album I listened to this week, or more like the past 3 weeks, I really need to talk about it. So, World of Echo by Arthur Russell. So I have been listening to this guy for like a month now, and I have actually never fell for an artist like so hard and so fast. Like his one album, Calling Out of Context, I might rank that among like my favorites ever. Like it was that immediate. But anyways, nobody on the sub knows who he is, even though he's sort of a classic. But to understand Arthur Russell's music, you need to understand the backstory, because nobody knows who he is. So, Arthur Russell is this singer-songwriter / cellist / avant-garde disco producer from like the 70s and 80s into like the very early 90s. And he was born in Iowa, and then he decided to run away to San Francisco and join a Buddhist commune, which is where he started to play the cello a lot more, and he started getting into music. And then he moved to New York, which is where the large body of his material was recorded. And he was notorious for never finishing anything. He has like thousands of tapes lying around, and the only album to be released during his lifetime is this one. So, I'm sorry. He was living in New York and he recorded this. And you could say that Arthur Russell lived a mostly like bisexual life. By the end, he was like mostly gay, and he had a boyfriend after he moved to New York. And they're actually like the best couple ever. And like, his boyfriend Tom, shout out to Tom because he's also from New Jersey. He sort of just like, Arthur was pretty broke, and Tom, picked him up and bought like equipment and tapes for him whenever he needed it, and actually like genuinely loved his work, and it was great. So as an homage to him, Arthur sort of recorded this. It's sort of like a diary, sort of like a whole ode to him. And if you look at his like later, like the things that came out later, like Calling Out of Context, the album that I mentioned before, that has like a ton of the disco element, but this album is like the polar opposite of that. It's just like mostly cello, maybe some bleeps and bloops, you know, and maybe a little guitar, but it's mostly just the cello. And I mean, World of Echo, it is super echoey. There's a ton of reverb. Like the one track that might be my favorite, Being It, it's like, I mean, it's obviously Arthur is singing, and it's just this, what sounds like a guitar, I don't know. And it's like super like reverby, and it's like, I don't know, it's like a big track, but on the other hand, it's also so like empty sounding, and it's just a really like raw album for like the entirety of it. Yeah, so, you know, if you're into intimacy, if you're into just like emotional things in general, I recommend this album. And also this week in particular, I watched the documentary about Arthur Russell's life entitled Wild Combination, and it sort of brought the music like back down to earth for me. Like it really sort of I don't know, I guess helped me appreciate it even more than I did before. Like honestly, if you want to get into him, listen to like Calling Out of Context or World of Echo, and then watch this documentary, and then listen to the album again. Yeah, that's all I really have to say.
All right then. So
Fun.
let's. Oh.
It sounds nice to me, but I prefer Saigir Rus.
I mean, yeah, that sounds
Me
really interesting
too.
with the backstory to it. Like, I
Okay.
might want to listen to it.
I didn't even say the sad part. So by the time this album was finished, like 1988, I think. I mean, he was like gay in the 80s, so he was tested HIV positive. He got AIDS. He got throat cancer, and in the end, he got dementia. And by like 92, he passed away. And
Jesus Christ.
Well,
I
that's
know.
sad. Why would
My
he do
God.
this?
Ah.
I was happy
Yeah.
because it was apparently about his boyfriend. It was like, oh, that's kind of cute. They made something for his boyfriend. It's like, oh, he died of
Yeah.
AIDS and
The way,
other things.
the way
and-
I see
I know,
that
right?
is that
What?
that man fought death for years and won very regularly.
It's triumphant but sad. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to our main topic. We are going to be talking the new Chvrches album, Every Open Eye.
Chvrches.
If you guys don't know, Chvrches are a Scottish indie pop band, started around 2011, 2012, released a single, did well, eventually signed to Glassnote Records. Is that their name? I don't know.
Yeah, I
Signed-
think.
Signed to Glassnote, released an EP, then their debut album, The Bones of What We Believe, and now this is their second album. Their first album was a big success, and did anyone here listen to Bones of What We Believe before, like, this album came out, or whatever, like, the hype cycle for this album began?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I was into it since like the beginning. I don't know.
I would like to give a trigger warning because I'm going to have some very negative opinions.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there we go.
dear.
But okay, sorry. Go on. Go.
See, if I'm going to give negative opinions, I'm not going to give you a trigger warning. I'm just going to come flat out and say it. Because I don't give a shit.
See, I don't like to trash bands, but that's what I'm here to do, I guess.
I don't give a fuck. If I hate something, I'm going to let you know. If I hate some music, I'm going to let you know.
Well, see, I mean, as an artist, it just feels bad to me. I feel terrible. Like, I'd rather give constructive criticism than just be like, yo, this is awful.
I mean, I'm gonna give you constructive criticism, but I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna like. I'm not shitting you. Before we get into this, I actually brought up that fact that I didn't like currents in my college class, in my college radio class, because somehow Taylor and Paul got brought up, and like the girl who sits next to me is like kind of into the same music as I am. She's like, I love Tim and Paul. Their concert's great. I was like, I kind of have a negative opinion on their new album, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much. So yeah. Anyways, Chvrches. Yeah, you don't like them. I actually didn't listen to Bones We Believe until we were getting ready to do this podcast like a week ago, and I listened. So I listened to new.
I just listened to all of Bones today for the first time.
Same.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I listened to Bones, and I was like, I listened to every album, and I was like, okay, I like that. And I listened to Bones, and I was like, wow, I really like this. And we're gonna get into that hopefully later. So,
yeah.
First things first. Let's just start off with what are some of your guys' favorite tracks? I'll start off. So I really like "Leave a Trace," "Keep You in." Fuck, let me pull up the track list because "Keep You on My Side," "Clearest Blue," "High Enough to Carry You Over," "Playing Dead," and "Bury It." Those are tracks I really do like, and the songs I and then everything else I'll talk about what I dislike a bit later. But those are tracks I really like. They have the best production. Her vocals are the strongest here. Just everything comes together very nicely. But even though I do like some of these tracks, at least like I think maybe like one or two of them, like if I compare them to like all the songs of Bones That We Believe, I would say the Bones That We Believe is just generally better than this album overall. But again, we'll hopefully get more in detail with that. So
my favorite track, and you're gonna love this, was Afterglow.
Oh, fuck you.
Not even joking. It was by far my favorite track. It was one of the two that I enjoyed.
Oh boy.
Two.
Yeah, two.
What was the other one you enjoyed real quickly?
Leave a Trace.
Okay,
you're good.
Of course.
If you picked like Make Them Gold or Empty Thread, I would have been like, fuck you, Alex.
No, Make Them Gold was maybe my second least favorite song.
Okay, good, because that's my I think it's my least or second least favorite song on the album. Actually, let's just say what your best and worst tracks are. My worst tracks are Make Them Gold, Empty Threat, and Afterglow. Everything else that I didn't mention on the list is just sort of in that in-between of like, I don't feel like listing them or listing them as bad or good. They're just there. So what about, let's see, what about you, Zach?
Okay, favorite tracks, besides the 3 singles, High Enough to Carry You Over, it is just so smooth, and Bury It, because that's one of the few songs that actually stuck with me. Least favorite tracks, Make Them Gold, Playing Dead. Oh my god, those could have been so much better.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing, yeah, because I think you just mentioned that they weren't very catchy. Yeah, this album is surprisingly not that catchy. Like, there was stuff in here that, like, I've listened to this, like, a decent amount of times, and I can barely remember, like, most of them. Like, Poison Season, I can still remember tons of stuff about Poison Season, but, like, this album was, like, this should be catchier than it actually is, because it's synth pop and pop.
It's because it's boring and ununique and stupid.
We'll get into that.
I don't
later.
like it.
We'll get into that, Alex. Okay, but yeah. Let's just go with you, everyone. Sebastian.
I agree with Zach. I like the singles and High Enough to Carry You Over, but that's pretty much it. The rest I thought was pretty forgettable. My least favorite one is Afterglow by far. Mm-hmm. It feels really out of place and kind of boring.
It's such a weak fucking ending. It's like this album, it's building up to something, and here you go. And with a synth pop album like this, it's like, you know what? I want to fucking jam this ending. I want a giant triumphant synth pop jam. I want that. Instead, we get an album that all this tension that the album builds up, it's not even released. It's just taken away. Just like instantly taken away, and then it's just slow, dull, boring. The album, in the song she talks about giving up, but the album, and then from there the album just gives up. It's like, okay, just because you're talking about giving up in the song doesn't mean you have to just give up the entire album. Like, if this album had like 2 more tracks to finish out the album and give it a bit more triumphant ending, I would really enjoy it, because the album it talks about like a lot of feelings of empowerment and triumphantness, and it ends on just a really low note. And it's just like, why? This album should not end on such a low note. It's out of place.
I just felt like... Sorry, you can go first, Sebastian.
Did you guys listen to the bonus tracks?
I haven't.
I did not.
No.
There is this one bonus track that I thought was kind of interesting. It's called Follow You, and it starts out with like a techno-like beat that I thought was really interesting. And I was hoping it would go somewhere really experimental, but then it was just... I'm not sure what the guy's
that's the
name is
overall
who's
fun of
singing.
the album, is that you want it to go somewhere, you want them to progress, and this album, it just feels like the first one, but not as good.
If I may, I'll have to agree with what Steven said in the chat. Stefan? Whatever.
Stefan.
All right,
Stefan.
like, you hear the synth
Stefan.
swells. You hear the synth swell on Afterglow, and you think, oh, this is probably going to lead somewhere. It's probably going to be a really great ending. Then you're like, oh, it's over? Really?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, okay, this is building something, and then it goes nowhere.
Let me talk about Afterglow for a second. And it's not by any means like one of my favorite songs of the year or anything, but I like it because I thought it was really soothing after a terrible record, and it was nice, and while the lyrics weren't great, you know, they I felt like they felt more natural above that like mellowed out kind of slow beat than like. And you guys said the record was triumphant, but it's not. If you listen to her lyrics, you've got like these triumphant synths, and then she's just like moaning about some cliche thing or another, and I guess that felt
I said
more normal on
Afterglow. I didn't talk about it in the
Afterglow.
lyrics. I said it as a triumphant. Like, I didn't say. Well, I should have been more specific, saying it has a triumphant feeling in the production in some of the lyrics. But yeah,
I think the lyrics are some of the worst of this year that I've
they're
heard
some of the
so
worst, but
far.
they're fucking boring and they're goddamn vague. Like, I remember, like, there's some critics were praising, like, yeah, these lyrics are a lot better than they were on Bones, but, like, I tried to read into them, and I was like, this shit is way too vague. I do not give a fuck at all.
I prefer Current's lyrics to this record.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
Controversial. Okay, I think it's what it kind of brings in the feeling of, like, what's worse, boring or flat out bad? And
Well, see, not every track on Currents was flat out bad. It was just a few like glaring turds in like a field of okay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I wouldn't say the lyrics were awful. There were a couple of tracks where I enjoyed. I don't know. I wouldn't say they're like the lyrics blew me away anywhere, but like
There's
I thought
times where I can
the
ignore the
songs.
lyrics.
I thought they fit the songs and they did what they needed to do. You know, like.
Okay,
I wouldn't praise them, but I thought they were fine. You know, they were good.
There was times where I can ignore the lyrics in favor of the production, where it's like, okay, I don't really, you know, its production's really good. Like, the less I know, the better has like that horrible line. She was holding hands with Trevor, not the greatest feeling ever. That's a horrible, horrible lyric. But I can ignore it because the production's pretty great. Hey, Trevor.
See, the best part about that line is he definitely made up Trevor.
It was like he was alibiing it in the studio. He was like, she was holding hands with Trevor, not the greatest feeling ever. No, like, he needed a rhyme. It was like
I feel like
holding
he had,
hands
he-
with.
she was holding hands with person, not the greatest feeling ever, and he was like,
It was like,
"Oh, what rhymes with
it
that?"
was like never, Dever.
I mean, I'm already using Heather later.
Trevor, there we go. Trevor, that works. Write it down. Okay.
No, he actually knows that Trevor is Mac DeMarco's friend, obviously.
Is that a reference to something?
Yeah,
You didn't see that?
Was that the friend?
No.
Was that the friend's name who was masturbating?
Oh
Yes.
God!
That makes it
Wait,
even
we're not-
better.
Follow that story because of how disgusting it was.
Yeah, I got in a little
I just-
trouble in the chat because I was trying to process my feelings on that, and then. Okay, I won't. I don't want to get into gossip, so let's get back on topic because we'll talk. Actually, we can talk about it on late night if we do one after this. So, anyways, let's get back to Chvrches. Yeah, there's in the production. There's like a sign of triumphant feel, but like in the lyrics, it's way too fucking vague. It's way too vague because like, is it a break? I think it's a breakup album, kind of. I'm not sure. Because, like, I mean, breakup albums, they have a hard time comparing to, like, Volnicura this year. Because Volnicura, that's as good as you get when it comes to a breakup album.
Let me explain why the instrumentals feel triumphant. Because, in general, synthpop is a more triumphant sounding genre, and these instrumentals sound like every other synthpop song ever made.
I will agree that, yes, the production on this album is a lot more generic than it was on
I
What
think-
You Believe.
I think Leave a Trace by far had the most interesting beat. Actually, there was one song, I can't remember what it was called, that where I did enjoy the beat.
Was it Clearest Blue, maybe?
Actually, it was Downside of Me. I liked the beat there, kind
I didn't
of.
put that anywhere on my
Well,
worst or best
I
list.
didn't love it, but I thought it was kind of going somewhere interesting, much more so than the other tracks, and maybe further listens I would enjoy it more.
The instrumentation of Downside of Me reminded me a lot of like GC, trashy German country music.
Me.
Well, yeah, that's the issue. We're kind of getting into lyrics. That's the issue. For some reason, the lyrics have a higher focus on this album, but why? Well, I mean, I think Lauren's voice is great. I love Lauren's voice. I think she has a great voice, but like, why are the lyrics getting a larger focus when like they're not that great? They're just there, kind of. Like they're too vague for me. They're too vague for me to care, and they're not well written enough for me to care either. It's just I flat out just do not care about the lyrics, and sometimes her voice isn't, and sometimes the production kind of gets into like a little too in the cheesy 80s synth pop and too generic at times where it's like the lyrics aren't very good and her voice isn't enough to save these songs.
The album is extremely superficial. It's vapid. It's just like all of the lyrics are something that I wrote in 9th grade.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, see, when I was writing my notes, I just felt like an asshole, but this is how I feel about the record. And I don't necessarily have anything about Chvrches, and I think Lauren Mayberry is a great vocalist, but like I did not enjoy this album. If the album was as good as its cover or Lauren Mayberry's fashion sense, it would be a very good album.
Okay, yeah, I wrote some notes down about production. The production on Bones, it felt like a lot more like free. It felt a lot more like on that album. It felt like they were like, "This is our debut album. We gotta go out. We gotta give them something." Like it felt more, jam. Like, there was a lot more jams, pretty much. Where it was a lot more free. It was a lot more loose. It didn't really care as much. It was like, you know what? Let's just fucking throw that in there. It's fine because it just seemed like it was. I won't say lo-fi because it wasn't lo-fi, but it was more just like, yeah, let's go. Let's fucking do this. Let's really produce some jams that don't. Let's have some synth pop, but it doesn't sound completely like inspired by the 80s. And I really liked Bones because of that, because the production was great. The lyrics, I didn't have to focus on them too much, and Lauren Mayberry has a great voice. It was like, this is good. But this album, for some reason, the production, like, it feels a little bit too technical at times, where it's a lot more laid back, and it was just like, why are you taking away the layers? It's like a really good cake. Like, the Bones We Believe, it's a really good cake. It's nice and sweet. But for some reason, they took away some of the layers of the cake, and they got rid of some of the icing, and they're like, why'd you do that? The icing was the best part, and I like, how many layers. It was like, I don't know, man. It's just that's what they asked for on the order. It's like, well, why? Do they know what the people want? The people want a nice, good cake, and they gave us a mediocre cake instead. Fuck you, Chvrches, for making a mediocre cake of an album.
They gave you a muffin.
They gave us a muffin. I wanted a cupcake, and they gave us a muffin. That's perfect.
I can speak. My thoughts are like this.
Oh.
I went to the production, and some of the songs honestly sound like if you distilled them and injected them into your veins, you could go into a sugar coma. So then I turned to the lyrics, and the lyrics were almost aggressively middle of the road. And the last thing I had was Lauren's voice, and it is so good, but it's not really enough.
You know what I want? I want an entire album with a male vocalist, in my opinion. I love Lauren's vocals, but I like that male vocalist.
Martin was pretty good on his song.
High Enough to Carry Over, that's one of my favorite songs. That would be
He
my top
improved a lot,
record.
I thought.
I did not enjoy that song at all. I laughed at his voice.
His song was better. Okay, his song on the first album was better, but like I enjoyed High Enough to Carry Over. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I
was a
enjoyed
nice
the
change of pace.
and I thought his voice was okay. I don't know. I guess I didn't think his voice was okay. It was like exactly what I don't want in a voice on a synth pop song. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Okay, well, it's your opinion, man. But yeah, we're kind of going off topic from like our schedule, like completely. We are still going kind of on schedule. So like I think we were talking about comparing this to debut. The Bones We Believe In is a much better album. It's much better because it feels like more like they have to prove themselves, and they're gonna go out and they're gonna prove themselves. But this album, it just feels like it's such a regression in a lot of ways. Like in certain ways, it's like okay, they're kind of progressing. But in certain ways, it's just like okay, they're more restrained in their production, which is like no, I need you to be as bombastic as possible, and you're not doing that with this album, and I don't know why. It's like, it's synth pop, be bombastic, don't be fucking boring. And then, you know, also with, you know, in Lauren's voice, it's better, like, she's more confident on this album, I guess, but for no reason. Like, okay, what, she's more confident, but, like, why are you more confident? I don't get it. These lyrics are very vague, and you still kind of, like, I don't care enough. Where it's just, like, ugh.
I like Bones more because it was more diverse to me. Yeah. With the new album, it sounded like they took that one synth from Recover, refined it a bit, and used it on every damn song. Mm-hmm. It just gets really repetitive to me.
It's boring. Like, it just seems like, okay, they better, like, step up their game on the next album, because I like the first album a lot, and this album was just, like, a regression in so mof ways. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like, yeah. Like, I liked, like, half the songs on here, but, like, most of the songs that I liked, if I compare them to like, almost any song on the album, it's like, yeah, Bones to Believe is, like, way stronger than this. It's, like, despite the fact that, like, Warren, apparently this is supposed to be a more confident album, but Bones to Believe in sounds way more confident than this shit. So, yeah, let's see. And also, another thing I want to talk about is that, here, we like, about a month ago, we talked about Beach House and Depression Cherry. And my complaint about that album was that it felt too formulaic, because Beach House has a formula, but that formula became kind of tired after about 5 albums. With Chvrches, synth pop, that sound can become very old very quick, and it's very, very apparent on this album, because, like, around the time that, like, Chvrches put out The Bones We Believe In, synth pop was starting to see a bit of a comeback with, like, Purity Ring, like, any sort of the indie circles, like, you know, with Purity Ring, Chvrches, I think there's some other band, I don't fucking remember their name. And then, you know, it started popping up in the mainstream, you know, have, like, artists like Taylor Swift taking a lot of influence from synth pop. And, there's another person, I don't remember. But I don't know, but yeah, you're starting to see synth pop pop up more in the mainstream. And it was like, oh, wow, that's cool. But once it pops up in the mainstream, it's like, okay, this can become very tired very quickly, because it's going to start being overplayed. And this new album, it feels very yeah, it just seems like, okay, this sound is becoming very tired very quick. And, you know, either you guys got to do something really interesting with this, otherwise this third album's going to suck, and I'm not going to care anymore about you guys.
I don't necessarily feel like it's getting overdone. I just feel like it's uninspired.
Yeah, I feel like they made this album just because they had to make an album every 2 years. To me. Like,
one good thing I can say about this record, and Bones of What You Believe, which is a record I also didn't like, is I feel like it shows a lot of potential. I don't think they've realized their abilities, and I think they could maybe do something good with this style, but, like, right now they just aren't doing it for me. I don't feel like they're pulling it off.
Yeah. I mean, because I know I keep mentioning it the first time. It's so good. It is so good because, you know, it's bombastic. It's like, it has a fresh take on synth pop. And this album, it's not fresh. Like, their sound isn't fresh anymore. Like, there's been so many artists who've done synth pop since, you know, their album came out. So, like, it just feels like, okay, this is the same album, but, like, it took back it's taking out elements that I liked about the first album. And it's like, why? It was kind of like, okay, this is a very odd comparison, I know, but hear me out, please. It was like Barter 6, okay? Where Barter 6, now Young Thug, I want to like Young Thug more, but he just is not making good music right now for the most part, and, like, I know he can, but he's just not making a full project of good music. Where Barter 6, it took away the things that I liked about Young Thug. The hooks are not as good. They're almost non-existent for the most part. The production is not good. It's filled with basically he's working with his worst producers, you know, guys like on the track who are just the epitome of mediocre trap. And then, you know, and he just sounds so uninspired and just so uninterested. And it was just like, ugh. And I don't think they sound uninterested, but they definitely are uninspired. It just seems like, okay, it just seems like they had a very short shelf life. And unless their third album proves something else, so far, like, Chvrches is just like, I think they're a one and done band as far as I can tell. They had that one good album, and then everything else was just kind of afterwards.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I feel like a lot of people did actually like this record, and critics have liked it so far.
Yeah, which is
for the
weird.
most
I was
part.
like, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
We haven't got more. Like, I know we got into Africa. I didn't get into Make Them Gold. Make Them Gold. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god.
It was dreadful.
It's dreadful. It's like, it's the worst of 80s synth pop. It's trying to be this
Yeah.
like empowering. It's when empowering goes too far. It's like, okay,
That's the yes I'm changing of this record
yes,
too.
it's like
Has
trying to be so
empowerment
like
gone
empowering
too
and
far?
generic. It's pseudo inspirational, which is one of my least favorite like types of songs. Eminem has been a big prevalent of doing the pseudo inspirational bullshit. Like, Not Afraid is like a horrible song because it's pseudo inspirational, and it's like, fuck you, Eminem. You fucking sold out, you goddamn bastard. What the fuck happened to you? Oh yeah, you're sober. That makes a bit more
Matty,
sense. Okay.
Subtract the synths from Make Them Gold and put the instrumental from what the fuck's it called? Fight Song underneath it, and you would basically have almost the exact same song.
Again, the thing is, the synths are like one of the worst parts about it. Was like, okay, these synths are too 80s. Like, okay, you need to back it up, add a little bit of bass or like more modern shit. Because I enjoy some 80s synth pop here and there, but this is like, this was so much cheese you could have called it a cheese festival.
Boo.
Hold on, I'm trying to drop my board. Did you guys hear that? I don't fucking know.
We should do head ratings, right?
Oh yeah, okay. Does anyone else have anything else to say?
Have we done head ratings?
We can't.
ever?
I didn't do it for for the story because I couldn't think of one in time, but I think I could think of a head rating for this. Okay. Before we get into the head ratings, does anyone else have any comments on this album?
I liked it a lot. Go ahead, Renee. You haven't spoken in a while.
Yeah, I haven't talked. So anyways, the one point that I really wanted to bring up that nobody mentioned yet, comparing it to Bones, I think the biggest letdown for me was with Bones, you had the darker tracks like Lies and Science and Visions that were like the best tracks on the album, and like this album was just way too, it didn't have that. It was like you said, it wasn't diverse enough. And yeah, that's basically, everybody else pretty much said everything that I was going to say, because I think in the chat this is just like the general consensus. Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you guys have any concrete hopes for the third album?
I don't
I
know.
honestly
don't even. It's
They
weird.
could go either way at this point, really.
It's weird because I can't even think of like a third album. I don't know.
I think it'd be cool if they would expand on the like darker thing they did with Science Visions on
Oh
Bones.
my god, yes.
Go in a more dark direction. Ditch.
I
don't say outright ditch synth pop, but like add more elements of other genres in there.
I think they should start making noise.
Okay,
I think
Alex,
that's a good
fucking
way to go.
Edgelord. Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog. Alex, I'm here. Okay,
If I can say one more thing, like,
yeah.
I like this album a lot more before I listened to Bones earlier today. It was the first time I'd listened to Bones, and honestly, The Mother We Share basically blows away every track on every open eye. Like, it's unreal how much better Bones is to me.
I've probably listened to like this album more than Bones, but Bones, like, I can think of songs right away from Bones that are like really goddamn catchy.
Yeah,
But
that's
this
basically
album,
the
it's
whole
just like
thing.
it just lacks so many elements. And it's like, how could you regress like this bad? Like in my chart, like on here on my notes, it says it's good, but the sound is starting to get tired quickly. Now, like after like really thinking about it, I'm like, do I like this album? Like it's an enjoyable listen. Like I don't hate myself listening to it, but like it's such a strong okay to meh. It's like I don't hate myself listening to this, but I'm not getting a whole lot out of it for the most part.
It's nice. It's pleasant, but it's just not very interesting.
Yes.
I think.
So let's get into
I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. You know? That's what I'm feeling.
Okay.
Alex, motherfucker.
You're-
Anyways, let's get into head ratings. So I'm gonna give this album a very strong bitching rest face. Alex?
So like, I guess 4 label heads frowning and saying, "Come back when you've made a few more songs."
Oh.
Oh
my god.
my god. Okay, that's great. Okay. What, Zach?
Like, picture the Pablo Honey cover, the bored-looking baby in the middle of the flower. I think of this album. I mean, it'll probably make my top 10 by the end of the year, but I just want to like it so much more.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want to like it so much more, but it's like it lacks so many things. It's like, ugh. Okay, Renee?
Wait, I'm looking. Okay, so I'm looking at all the emojis right now, and I think the emoji that best represents this album might be the one face emoji where like it doesn't have a mouth; it's just the eyes. Like I can't think of another way to describe it. It's just like, okay.
All right, and Sebastian?
We are officially appealing to the youth.
Mm-hmm.
We
saw Pitchfork do it, and we have to copy them, obviously.
You jumped the shark.
Jump the shark. Okay,
If I had to do emojis too, I would just do the sleeping emoji.
I was gonna do that, but the face with no mouth is a little more interesting. It spices it up.
Good point.
Okay, so yeah.
Wait, isn't there a sleeping cat emoji? I think there might be.
If there is,
Oh yeah, that's even better.
Yeah.
If they made a cat remake sound of this, you can use that one.
Okay.
So yeah, overall the opinion I think is that we're all, besides Alex who just flat out hates this album probably, we're all pretty lukewarm to meh on it.
Mm.
So Chvrches, step your fucking game up, okay? You were so
Please.
goddamn good on that debut album. What the fuck happened? Fucking, you know who I blame? I blame 4chan. I blame you.
I blame 4chan.
You made her depressed and you made her uninspired, and this is what fucking happens. Good job, 4chan.
I
Fuck
feel
you.
like I wasted my hatred because I hate Grimes so much more than Chvrches, and she's
Wait,
gonna
what?
put
Oh
out.
god, that's
No.
oh when we do that
Dude.
discussion, because her album is coming out this month apparently.
At some point.
Wait, okay, so I am actually like in love with Grimes. So sorry guys. Like I think Visions might have been my first ever exposure to synth pop. Granted, you got to remember I got into indie when I was 12, which was like 3 years ago. So yeah, Visions was like my first exposure to synth pop, and it's still I think like the most interesting out of like all of them. Like everything else has just gotten boring except for Visions, and I think like with the new album, it's either gonna be it'll like get into my top 5 or I'm going to absolutely hate it. Like that's the only way it's going to go. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
excited.
there's only ever black and white in life. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no expectations for the new Grimes album.
I
have
never
no idea what
listened
it's
to
going to be
an album
like.
from her, so I have no idea.
I will make a point not to listen to it, probably.
Okay. I'll let you know if it's good.
I mean, if everyone talks about it being incredible, maybe I'll give it a listen. But like, I'm not a fan.
Oh.
Sorry.
I mean, it sounds like it could be like really bad, but also it's probably it could be good. I don't know. It's
Okay,
like she has all of these like ideas, and I'm like, whoa, okay, hold on a second there. That's a little. You need to like take it down to like a 2 right now.
And didn't she throw away a whole album's worth of material like late
I
last
think,
year or something?
Twice. I think
Yeah.
twice she did that, and it's annoying me. Like I don't usually get annoyed
Wait, you
with
said she needs
Grimes.
to turn
I'm
it down
like,
to a
"God."
2? Like the White 2 Fantana's probably gonna give her album.
Ouch!
Actually, No,
Yeah.
actually, I think I could see that. I mean, he gave Visions a 6.
I don't know. Sorry, I was just making a bad joke.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well,
we need to wrap up this podcast. Sorry.
we do.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this week's podcast. Sorry we were all so kind of on Chvrches, but Sorry.
Wait, was I better this week?
yeah, you're
I
fine.
think I was better. Okay, good.
You're fine. Don't worry. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed listening. And also I need to make a quick announcement. Right now with our iTunes, if you're wondering why the latest episode is not up on iTunes, because we did the name change, it kind of messed things up. So if you want to listen to the audio version of this podcast, it's best just to go to our WordPress page, which is on our main YouTube page. You can find a link to it.
I didn't even know we had a WordPress.
That's how we usually upload the podcast, was from our WordPress. So if you guys want to listen to the audio and you want to download it, you just go to our WordPress. It has an archive of all the episodes, of almost all the episodes, I think, except for the first couple of them. But,
which are on the YouTube channel.
Which are on the YouTube channel. So yeah. So again, hope you guys enjoyed listening to this week's podcast. And bye.
Good night.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye.
Bye.